you guys just saw were the current protests that are taking place in Albania. And it's not just a random protest that is happening. You see, along Albania's pristine coastline, an unlikely symbol has emerged at the center of one of the biggest protests that the country has seen in years, the Pink Flamingo. And no, it's not because Albanians suddenly have a strong interest in birds. It's because many Albanians believe that their country, or their government, is selling off one of the most beautiful parts of their country to powerful foreign investors. This isn't just any development that's taking place here, where hundreds of thousands of people are protesting.
We want people to be happy and to be able to enjoy our coastline. We don't want to be tourists in our own country.
Albania is the biggest, the nicest country in Balkan. We are pro-investments, but we are not to the corrupt government. This is the most corrupted government in Europe.
It's a multi-billion-dollar project backed by one of the most politically connected families in America, the Kushners. You know, the son-in-law of Donald Trump, who is the current sitting president of the United States of America. We'll come back to the Kushners in a moment. You see, not that long ago, the Albanian government changed a key rule that allowed this project to go through. And that, according to many Albanians, is not just a coincidence, which is why thousands have taken to the streets with an unusual symbol, a pink flamingo, a movement that's become far more about corruption, power, and foreign influence than just birds. And now it's time to take a deeper dive into Albania's flamingo revolution. Now, before we get into the nitty-gritty parts of the video, we need to understand why this movement became a thing. And most importantly, why Albania? You see, Albania sits on one of Europe's most prestigious and valuable coastlines. Located across the Adriatic Sea, the country has some of the last untouched beaches, wetlands, and islands in all of Europe that hasn't been consumed by massive buildings and a boost in tourism. And the reason behind this is, unlike Greece, Italy, or even Croatia, which are all nearby to Albania, this country spent most of the 20th century isolated under the People's Socialist Republic, basically a communist governing body. And because of this, for decades, any kind of foreign investment or development barely touched the coastlines of Albania. And what do we know about nature and when big companies and billionaires don't come in and start developing land and resorts and hotels? They remain prestigious, completely free from massive developments and an influx of tourists. But of course, if you're a billionaire and you look at this, you can only think of one thing. This land is worth billions of dollars in revenue.
We were on a friend's boat and we stopped for a swim. Effectively, that's how we found it. We swam to the islands. We went on a hike, barefoot all the way up to the top, and we were just captivated.
Over the last decade, the current Prime Minister, Edi Rama, has pursued an aggressive strategy to acquire foreign investment and luxury tourism to Albania.
I met Jared in Davos and he said to me, your country is absolutely stunning and we would like to look for a chance to invest. We saw this island and I said, you are welcome, let's work together. And this is how it started.
Now his supporters, the people that are all for this plan, say that it's exactly what the country needs, because this would lead to more visitors, more jobs, and of course, the most lucrative aspect of it all, more money for the country.
High-end finally will be built to create a balance between the mass tourism to high-end tourism where less people can bring more money and also less stress to the environment and to traffic and so on.
But the opposition, the critics, they argue something completely different. They believe that many of these investments benefit powerful investors, and the local communities get little to nothing in return. It's a debate that has been simmering for decades, until this one project changed everything: the billion-dollar resort. It all started in 2024, when Jared Kushner, a billionaire, announced plans for a massive tourist investment in Albania, specifically a former military island called Sazan Island and its surrounding coastlines known as Vjosa Narta Lagoon. Now, Jared Kushner is best known as President Trump's son-in-law. He's married to Ivanka Trump, who is Donald Trump's daughter. And Jared Kushner used to be a former White House advisor and now runs an investment firm called Affinity Partners. And you've probably never heard of this private equity firm, but to put it into a quick perspective, Jared Kushner founded this firm back in 2021, after serving as a senior advisor to President Donald Trump's first term at the White House between 2016 to 2020. Now, these are just rumors. Don't sue me. During Jared Kushner's role as a senior advisor to Donald Trump in his first presidency, Kushner used his position at the White House to build relationships and form partnerships with rich and powerful people across the world, which ultimately helped him establish affinity partners. Kushner sought funds for the firm through sovereign wealth funds of the Gulf countries, basically the same governments that he had engaged with when he was a White House envoy. And to add salt to the corruption rumors, it is believed that Kushner backtracked on promises not to solicit additional money during Trump's second term, which is his current term as president, as he's acting as a negotiator for the Trump administration.
The White House announced they're sending U.S. Envoy Steve Witkoff and President Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner to Pakistan for round 2 of negotiations with Iran.
Steve and Jared will be heading to Pakistan tomorrow to hear the Iranians out.
According to New York Times research, Jared Kushner acquired fresh funds for affinity partners whilst being a White House advisor / negotiator / whatever he's been doing these days. I don't know. So what is the Flamingo Revolution? The Vjosa Nata Lagoon is one of Albania's most important wetlands. It's home to hundreds of bird species. Much of this area, for decades, has sat behind protected ecosystems containing rare wildlife, including one that became the face of the entire movement, the Greater Flamingo. In the initial protests, as the demonstrations across Albania started to ramp up, people marched across the streets carrying large pink flamingo cutouts. They had pink banners and signs stating that construction should stop. And as a result, the movement quickly became known as the Flamingo Revolution. But these protesters weren't just marching to save the birds. A key reason as to why they're protesting is because they've seen a dangerous pattern take place. Protected land being open for development, and political decisions being made without transparency. And of course, powerful interests benefiting from public resources.
We are here to say no more to corrupted officials who are playing with our lives.
This pink flamingo, which is also the theme of my room in this video, and my shirt, became a symbol because it simplified a complicated issue. A pink bird standing between nature and billion-dollar developments.
So we live in a country where the corruption is at the head of the table. Everything in Albania can be reached and everything can be possible through corruption, and we don't want that anymore. We want a better future. We want a future when foreigners cannot come and buy our country. We want to live as Europeans. We want to live with dignity.
The proposal that Affinity Partners has pushed forward to Albania envisions luxury villas, resorts, and exclusive tourism infrastructure, and bring in billions and billions of dollars of revenue, not just for Jared Kushner and Affinity Partners, but for the Albanian government as well. To supporters of this plan, this is a once-in-a-lifetime investment opportunity and could really boost Albania's economy. Because you gotta understand, Albania's population is like 2.5 million people. And when people think about tourism, especially in Europe, Albania is not a country that comes to their mind straight away. But could you imagine beautiful villas, beautiful resorts, beautiful coastlines, beautiful beaches? It sounds like heaven, right? Not really. You see, this is where the opposition, or the critics, come into play. Contrary to what some people think, this isn't some opposition government party that's fighting against the current administration. One of the most prominent groups in this fight is the PPNEA, which stands for the Protection and Preservation of Natural Environment in Albania. And another major player in this fight against the government and this development that's taking place is the Eco Albania. Eco Albania has challenged the government's legal changes in Albania's constitutional court. Their argument is simple: protected areas should remain protected. But the current administration or the government of Albania argues the opposite. They say that tourism and environmental protection can coexist.
When it comes to protecting environment, to caring about wildlife, to keeping flamingos home, I'm their best deal.
We need to now look at the law that was changed by the Albanian government to make this development possible. It all started back on 22nd of October in 2004, where a decision was made by the Council of Ministers that the Vjosa Nata was officially designated as protected land. Now let's fast forward to 2017, where Albania takes a step further. The country passes law number 81/2017 on protected areas, doubling down on its commitment to the environment. This law puts biodiversity, natural habitats, and protected landscapes front and center. But then it all changed in 2024, Albania's parliament passed a law known as Law Number 21/2024. These protected areas can now house hotels, resorts, restaurants, etc. You know the deal. And they don't face any kind of severe restrictions, except the protests that are happening right now, which I'd highly doubt that the Albanian government thought would happen. You see, this controversy has now expanded well beyond Albania. It's not just the local voices that are sounding the alarm. The European Parliament has now stepped in, and their message is direct. Members of Parliament have expressed serious concerns over what's happening in Vjosa Nata. They're not just asking for a review or a slowdown of the processes. They're calling for a full moratorium, a hard stop on all permits, all construction works, and all development interventions within Albania's protected areas. This is a significant intervention from Brussels. It basically sends a signal or a message to affinity partners and other institutions around the world that the international community, or the European Union, is closely watching. And why they're watching is also important, because for several years, Albania has tried to closely integrate itself with the EU, and the outcome of this dispute, or the Flamingo Revolution, could have severe implications for Albania going forward that are much greater than just a single resort. In the end, the story was never really about flamingos. The flamingos simply became the symbol. The real battle is over who gets to shape Albania's future. The supporters of this development see an opportunity, more jobs and more money for the country, whereas the opposition, those who were against this development, see an irreversible loss, the destruction of protected areas in their home country. Whether the resort is built or not, one thing has become ultimately clear. A pink bread has become one of the most powerful political symbols in modern Albania, and the fight it represents is far from over. My name is Des Shanker. I hope you enjoyed this video. Hit that subscribe button, because I'll be making more videos covering interesting topics in the future. Peace out.